Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we're going to have Chris. Chris is from Utah in the USA. So let's see what Chris has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello, Chris.
Hi, William. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for
Good
having me
morning.
on. I'm excited.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Or I guess not to you. Good evening.
Yes, almost evening.
I apologize. I didn't see the message earlier.
It's
10:30 would have definitely worked okay.
no, it's okay. Just because I just to make sure that I was on time. But yes, I made on time.
Okay.
Wow, I like this quote behind you. The greatest disease in the world is unbelief.
Yes, sir.
Wow, so let's start the interview talking a little bit about it. Why do you have that on your wall?
It's a great question. So I created this quote years ago, and the truth of the matter is, most of us have something bigger that we want to do in life. We have something that is really pulling at us, right? That repeats in our mind over and over again, and yet we don't. Most of us push it away because we
Right.
don't believe in ourselves. And I feel this truly about all of us is that we'd all be doing something bigger if we were just fed a little bit more belief as a kid, if we were fed a little bit more belief as ourselves, right? If every night at dinner we just fed ourselves belief instead of a meal, we would be doing more in our life and our life would be fuller. So that's the reason I created that quote.
Amazing.
Thanks.
Great way of starting the interview. I truly believe as well. Sometimes we can get away with our dreams. Sometimes we, you know, kind of go a little bit on the side, but you need to focus all the time. You know, it's not easy and it's hard and it's challenging and it's beautiful and it's exciting and it's all together. I think that's what make our path interesting when all these emotions, they are all mixed up.
I love that. I agree 100%.
So tell me, how's your morning going so far?
Wonderful. I love it. I get up, I get to play with my daughter. She's almost 17 months old now, so she's a ton of fun and she's learning, she's walking a little bit and stuff, and I get to spend time with my wife and just really enjoy the morning, read some scriptures and just center herself and just do some stretching and stuff that's healthy for me. So I love the morning times. They're beautiful. Plus the weather's beautiful.
Is the only daughter you have, or you have other kids as well?
No, first and only so far. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I'm sure we'll have more just because it's so joyful to have this one. But no, it's the first and only so far. Yeah.
and during this 18 month that she was born, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from her so far?
Oh man. Woo. So first, I'm the person that didn't necessarily like. I would told my wife before, like, I'd be fulfilled if I didn't have kids. I didn't realize, so many people tell you, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's so amazing. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yep, I get it. It's amazing. And you don't realize until you have one how amazing it is. I think that's number one. And then number two, you just get to actually see stuff come up in yourself, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you have to have way more patience. And there's just things where you go like, man, with somebody else, I may get annoyed about that, but with her, it's totally okay. And I just think there's that challenge even to just some of your past emotions, things that maybe you think you've worked through, that get brought back up because kids are challenging. They don't
Absolutely.
care about what you're going through. They're just like, hey, it's me. I'm here. Let's do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally understand your point. I've got a godson in Canada, and I visit a few times my best friend and his partner. Both of them, they were always on the go. I remember when I visited them, and I was like, oh my God, that is a full-time job as well, apart.
It is for sure.
So tell me, where are you from, Chris?
So I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States, but I moved to Utah about 6 years ago. So I live in Utah right now.
And why the change from Arizona to Utah?
Yeah, great question. So as I tell everybody, I met a young lady in Phoenix, Arizona. She moved up here for school. I moved up here for love. So I moved up here for love, and we've been here since.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. So your wife is from Utah?
No, she's from Phoenix, Arizona. So we met at a party with like 1,000 people, about 1,000 people there. We were on the roof of the house connected, and like a month and a half went by, and she was like, "Hey, I'm going to move up to Utah," and I said, "Okay, well, I'll leave everything that I've known. Like I only lived in in Arizona my whole life. So I was like, I'll leave everything behind and I'll move up there. She's like, you will? I said, yeah, I don't want to look back in 20 years and say like, what if I would have done it? I want to look back in 20 years and say I did it. And this is what happened.
Amazing. Oh my God, I can see her watch this interview right now and smiling. So tell me, what do you do for work, Chris? What do you do for living?
So we coach people. So I coach people. What we do is really help them set goals. And mainly we work with people in business, with people in mental health. Really what we do is help them start to develop a different emotional state, because as we all know, we're controlled by feelings and emotions. That's our biggest driver. And that can either be the resistance to why we set goals, why we achieve them, why we do something, or it can be the reason we do it. And what we do is we help them understand their mindset to adjust their feelings and emotions to make sure that it pushes them forward instead of holds them back.
Amazing. Okay, so through the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your career and also about your joys in life, okay?
Love it. Can't wait.
Chris, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
I am. I'm excited.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here my best. Okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just going to play a song now for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, Chris, before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, we can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what is your favorite place in the entire world and why?
Oh, goodness. That's a big question. I've traveled to some amazing places. I will say, every time you travel somewhere amazing, and this may sound like a corny answer, we all want to get back home. And I think the most amazing place that I've ever been is home, because like that's where you feel the most comfortable. That's where you're connected. That's where the people you love. I mean, I can tell you about Bermuda or other amazing places that I've traveled. And I think Bermuda is a wonderful place if you want to talk about that. I think there's beautiful places up in Washington and Oregon, beautiful waterfalls, depending on what you love. And then I've gone skiing in amazing places, but I really think at the end of the day, all of us go on vacation and go like, man, it's so nice to be home. So I think home. I wouldn't have normally gave you that answer, but I'm going to give you that answer.
Do you see yourself living for a long while in Utah?
Say that again.
Do you see yourself living for a long period in Utah?
No. So we've been here longer than we thought. So we've been here almost 6 years. And I'm going to be honest, what we want to do is get an RV and travel around the United States, travel more of the world, because we don't know where we want to live. So we just want to travel and see the world and see it in a different way and spend time in places and see some more seasons and see what we really like. So no, I don't think I'm going to run around the United States at some point, in 2027. So we'll get RVs then, and then we'll start our travels for hopefully about the next 10 years.
See what the RV stands for?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. So do you know what RVs are though?
No.
Okay. So you know those big like motor homes that people drive around, or like fifth wheels. So we'll have like an RV that we live in permanently and travel around in. I don't know what RV stands for. That's a good question.
No, it makes sense actually. It makes sense. When you said RV, I thought maybe you want to do like a program, something, and after traveling around. Now I understand. So RV, it's kind of like a van, a place where you live and you travel.
Yeah, so it's like those vehicles that, and I don't, you may not see them as much, but we see them a ton here, like where you have, it's all built in one. So you have a house that you beds and all that stuff, and then you drive it as well.
It's amazing. What an adventure. My goodness. I think you guys should like make a lot of notes and stories to write down a book afterwards about the experiences. It would be a bestseller.
I love it. I love that idea. I always tell my wife when we're going through hard times or good times, they say like, let's write this down because this is going to be in our book, right? What kind of story do we want to tell? And if we want to tell a good story, this is going to be a good part of the story.
Amazing. Next question, Chris. Let's do it. Right. Next question is, who has been the most influential person in your life and why?
It's the reason I love. This is the reason I was excited to come on, just because you have great questions that are very like unique compared to most podcasts. So I think, you know, man, one, my mom. I mean, just, you know, she's my rock. She's the person that gave me the most amount of love and helped me through the most amount of stuff. So I would say my mom. She's just so impactful. Her friendliness, her spirit, her helping me through when I got molested, just all those things, just really impacted my life. And even when I had mental health issues after that, she was just very much there, and just an incredible person. Would do anything for me.
Are you okay to talk about this event in your life?
Yeah.
Were you a child when that happened? What do you know about it?
Yeah, so I was 5 and 6. So again, I'm from Phoenix, but we had cousins in Utah, and our grandma lived in Utah. So we'd come and visit her every summer, right? For at least a couple months. We were blessed to have that opportunity. And just, you know, 5 or 6, you don't know much about that kind of thing. But I had a cousin that was teenage years. And he would, you know, I got molested then, for a couple summers. And you know, like, again, when you're that age, you don't know. My parents got divorced around the same time, so there's just a lot of hard emotional things to experience and know how to process. And I mean, like, no parent knows how to help somebody process that. No child knows how to process that. And I always tell everybody, like, that's very unique, because it's your first, you know, my parents always said, like, have sex with one person, right? Like, find somebody you love, connect with them. And, like, in a sense, that's a sexual experience in a different way. So that was hard for me, because, like, you know, it was a much different experience than I thought I was going to have. That's all.
Thanks for sharing this personal event, Chris.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you never know who's watching this interview, and maybe maybe they went through the same situation, and hear someone talking so open about, can be helping some people out there as well. And again, you said something interesting, because, you know, when you go through this, you know, not knowing situation that you don't understand very well, you just even don't understand, you just understand the future. At the same time, your parents got divorced. So there's a lot of things going at the same time, and you don't know what's happening. So yeah, I think it can be tricky, and it's difficult to go through those things for sure. And now you are here talking about it. So
yeah, if it's okay, I just want to say one more thing, William. Like,
sure.
It was, for a long time, it was really hard to speak about, right? Like, my mom, my aunt knew, because I was really close to my aunt growing up. And, like, I didn't even realize until about 6 months ago, my dad didn't know. Like, he never knew. And I am so grateful that I went through that experience. And it may sound weird to people, but I'm grateful because of what you just said. Like, if I can heal from it and I can overcome it, I hope I can give somebody else hope and belief, knowing that they can overcome it and that it's okay. Like, I feel like so many people that I work with coaching wise, they think like, oh, it was their fault. And it wasn't. And it's okay. It's okay that it's okay. It may be crappy that it happened, but it's okay. And you can find help to process it and to work through it and to heal yourself and find strength in it, instead of finding like to be a victim to it.
Absolutely. And again, when you're going through, you don't understand much. You don't understand anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it takes time for you to, you know, when you get older or you start growing up, that's when you start realizing that it was wrong when that happened.
For sure.
Next question. Let's do it. Right. So before the next one, tell me a little bit about your job. What do you like the most about? What's the biggest joy of it? And there's always the flip side, something that you find most challenging.
Yes. So I've heard this question on a few of your other podcasts. So I love this question. To me, I tell everybody the biggest joy is when you see somebody not have belief, when they feel stuck, when they're like, man, I have this thing calling me. I want to do something better. I know I can do better. Mm-hmm. And then you see that transformation, right? When you see that light kick on and you start to see them do the work, I think that's amazing. When you look back in 6 months with them and they are like, man, I'm so grateful that I went through this and I experienced this and I chose this. That's my favorite part of the work. The least favorite is when you have somebody that feels like they're ready, but they're not willing to do the work, right? That's the most, because it's, it's the most challenging for me. It's the most challenging for them. They feel frustrated. I feel frustrated. But it's an honest part of the work. I mean, that does happen, and everybody's journey takes us, their own length of time. Everybody's journey is different. So I think as much as I can remember in those moments, that everybody has their own path, and that's okay. It's their path.
Most of your clients or people that come after your work, they are female or male?
I have a great group of both, to be honest. I think I feel like I work more closely with females, but I've definitely had my fair share of both, and most of my clients right now are male.
I see. Okay. Next question is, what can make you cry and what can make you really happy?
Okay. So, man, I'm a crier. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I just so I like a happy cry. I love. My wife literally said to me the other day, oh, you don't cry very often, but you cry from like joyful things. So like, I love movies that are based on true stories because I cry almost every time I watch one of them. The inspiring story, that video you watch on Instagram where it's that person caring and sharing with somebody, where they're really giving and it impacts their life. That's what makes me cry the most. I will say, like, disagreements with my wife, those make me cry. The most joyful though is that I feel like are those moments, right, where you cry because of you see somebody else heart-to-heart connection, and they're either listening to somebody or giving somebody something, but impacting that person's life so that they know they have value as well. Those things really, and those inspiring stories are the things that make me cry the most and bring me joy.
Saying that, Chris, when you think about yourself, analyzing yourself, what's the best part of being Chris? What's the best part of being you?
I don't know that everybody would agree with this. My favorite part of me is I'm very blunt and to the point. I'm very literal. And I love that when you work with me or when you have a relationship with me, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be the person that talks behind your back. I'm going to be the person that tells it to your face. Because again, if my standards are, we all have better inside, I want you to be your best you if that's what you want. And I think that's one of my best assets is that I'm clear and to the point, and I tell you what I really see.
Amazing. What's your star sign?
I am a Gemini. I was gonna harass you and say November 17th because I know that's your birthday, correct?
Oh yes, yeah.
But I thought when I was listening, I was like, I'm gonna say November. It's July. It's June 15th. I'm a Gemini.
Oh wow. Yes, funny enough, it's interesting about the Magic Box because I find so many curiosities about my guests, about connect with myself. I could write a book just with those connections or similarities, things that I find genuinely around the interviews. And it's the third person that I like literally talking about things, and suddenly we just realize that we share in the same birthday. It's just amazing. Like amazing. Yeah, it is incredible. Next question. All right, Chris. Next question is, what's the best compliment have you ever received?
Oh goodness. I think it's this, that and this may not be a compliment to most people, but my wife says, like, I care about so many things. And most people would say that the positive is like, caring about less in a sense of, not being caught up in things. But I put my energy and effort into so many things. And my wife has told me so many times, like, man, you're passionate about so many things. And I love passion. and I love the passion for life. And I think it's so important. Like, I don't want to do things unless if I have some passion behind it, because it's a driving factor. So I think when my wife says like you're passionate about so many things, that's an incredible compliment to me.
Amazing. And you always had this way of thinking, this way of approaching life?
I would say I think I've had, yes. I think I am born with a lot of passion. I'm not going to say I learned that. I think, maybe my mom's very passionate, so maybe I got, that some of that from her. But I think, I was born with a lot of passion in my heart and a lot of passion for life.
All right. Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Right. When I was checking your profile, I made some notes of a few things from there. It says there, 570 days running every day.
Yes.
You've been running every single day, like since when you started?
Yeah. So we started January 9th of 2022. And if it's okay, I'll give a little backstory on that.
Sure.
So I ran about 5 times in 20 years because I hate it. I hate running. My wife, when we first met, was running marathons, and she's like, "Do you ever want to run a marathon with me?" I was like, "Absolutely never. That's the stupidest thing ever. Like, why would I?" Right? Like, I have passion, but it was a negative passion. No, that's stupidest thing. Don't ever ask me to. I'm never going to do that. Fast forward a few years in our relationship, she's going to run her last marathon. Her friends drop out. It's about a month before. I'm like, "Hey, here's what I'll tell you. I'll run it with you because I want you to run your last one. I'm not going to train. I'm just going to buy some shoes." So I get shoes, I walk in them so they're broken in, and then I run the marathon, I finish. And I realized that day something that I hadn't realized before. Like, when we do something physically hard, it breaks down our mind and our body. So we get a spiritual experience, and we get to see something new that we never knew was inside us. And so fast forward a few years after the marathon, I'm like, man, you know what? I got to do something bigger. I got to do something challenging. So I like the word choose your heart, or courage, right? And so I chose running. So I ran, like I said, January 9th was the day I started. I'm going to run for 5 years, and then we'll run around America for the next about year.
Oh my God. Wow. So now you're a proper runner now.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say it. I'm very slow, and my forms, I'm sure there's runner people out there going like, this is the worst guy that's ever run in his life, but I still get out there every day and I do it,
Tell me the story behind about the trainers you have in your background. There's a story behind or not?
Oh yeah. So, so these are like, one of the questions I heard you ask somebody, like, what's your best gift? And I was like, oh man, that's a great question. And I was thinking, and I said, oh, I probably have like 5. Well, this is one of my favorite gifts. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So this shoe has an autograph on it right there. So it has an autograph. And I have a partner in business. And one of the things is, one of my favorite books is Shoe Dog. Have you ever heard of Shoe Dog?
No, haven't. No.
Okay, so it's Phil Knight's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy that created Nike.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Is the move that was with Matt Damon?
So they made Air, which isn't the whole story. That's just about Michael Jordan signing on.
Yes,
same people. Yep, exactly.
People. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Excuse me. So one day, he went to this, charity thing, and he opens up, he's like, hey, come outside. And I'm like, okay, cool. My partner. And so I go outside, and he opens up the trunk, and he's like, look at the box. I'm like, cool. What is it? And he's like, oh man, that's Phil Knight's autograph. So he got me these shoes because I love Shoe Dog so much. And he got me Phil Knight's autograph on a shoe. And so it's one of my prized possessions.
Amazing.
Yeah. Where you ask somebody, like, if you were in a fire, if your house was burning down, what would you save? And I'm like, well, clearly my family. And then I'm like, and the shoes. Those are my things.
That's why they are very well, you know what I mean, protected there in the back.
Yep.
Good. Next question is, share with us a crazy or funny story that happened to you when you were a child at school.
Ooh, goodness. Fun story?
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny. This is about running, but I'm going to share a running story. So when I was in 6th grade, we had a like relay day, like track day. And so for a couple of weeks, you know, we had 4 different groups of classes for 6th grade. And there was this kid named David, and everybody's like, David's the fastest. He's going to beat you. He's going to like, you know, he's going to beat everybody. Like nobody will beat him. And they kept making fun of our class because we were the slow ones. Right. And so I was the last leg of the relay. So was David. And I just remember the baton coming to like the person running, and we're in about 3rd place, pretty close to 2nd. And I get the baton, and I just remember like running, and I felt like I literally felt like I wasn't even touching the ground. I felt like I was running on a cloud. And I just remember passing David, and just, I had a buddy that was in the side of the circle of the track. And he kept saying, it's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be the shoes. It's gotta be. And I remember passing David and winning it. And that was a really great story. I think about it all the time. So that's a great story for me.
It's fun that you still remember his name, of course. You're never gonna forget.
Of course, yeah, I got it. And Terry Neighbors, if they're listening, was the other kid that kept saying, it's got to be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes. And I remember that. I remember the exact shoes I'm wearing and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you like school, Chris?
I think I liked school up until about high school, but I think I liked the social side of it the most. I was never like that. I'm going to just, you know, be the best student and everything's going to be perfect. So yeah, I think I enjoyed school. Yeah, it was fun.
And when starts your let's say your business, you know, helping people to achieve their goals, helping them, you know, I like the way when you said human design and goal specialist. I like that. How things got together?
Yeah. So thank you for saying that you like that. I appreciate that. I mean, long story short, because I went through my own mental health issues, I got connected to a coach in Phoenix, Arizona, and he helped me change my life. I worked with him on his events and spent some good time like developing his skills and his tools, went to a lot of his courses. And that really was what kicked off, like 6 years ago, was what kicked off my coaching. You know, I remember the last time we were running his events, he's like, hey, what went well? What didn't, Chris? And he's like, hey, come, you know, if you're always here, you always give your best, like come work with me. And it was right at the time I was moving up here. So, you know, he worked there. So I was like, I can't do that, but I really appreciate it. He's like, what do you want to do? And I said, man, I come to these events and I see that light kick on in somebody's eyes, and I see like the change in them, and I love guiding them, because I think a coach really is just a great guide, right? They're not going to do the work for you, but they're going to guide you. And so about 6 years ago I moved up here and I started coaching. And that's really how it all started.
Amazing. Good. Right. I have 3 questions left for you. Let's do it. Right. Before the next one, what's the biggest difference between Utah and Arizona, in your opinion? And are they very, they're located they're apart, like long distance, or no, they are close, they stay?
No, they're pretty close. So they're about a 10-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So relative, like literally, I mean, they're the one state like above.
And you are based you're based in Salt Lake City, or not? In the capital of Utah, or not?
No, we're south. So we're about 40 minutes south. It's called Orem, Utah. But most people know Salt Lake more than anything, you know.
I just know that, you know what, because I had a few guests from there on the show, and also I had a few guests from Phoenix as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
One of the very first interviews when I started the show 2 years ago, it was a lovely guy from Phoenix, and it was the first time when I heard like properly a little bit more about the state, about the city as well. And I was like, oh my God. And since then I had a few guests on the show from both cities.
That's
anyway,
awesome.
So tell me the difference, in your opinion, like between between states. There is any?
So I think, you know, one obviously is the temperature difference. Right. In Phoenix, you know, it's people love it. People move there. But it's, you know, 115 summers. And those last a good length of time. And there's just, it never gets really cooler than like that 60 degrees at night. So first and foremost, I love the temperature, right? I love the snow. I love the season changes. I love seeing the leaves change. There's good mountains in Phoenix, but there's vastly bigger mountains in Utah. I love skiing, so that's a profound difference. I mean, like there's skiing in Arizona. It's just different type of skiing here. And then I think the people are a little different, you know, and I think that's the fun part of traveling is even if you don't go from country to country, I feel like sometimes the United States, a state is almost like a country. So you move to a different state and there's a different culture, there's a different speak, there's a different type of people. And I think that's a fun adventure.
I'm from Brazil and I can tell you the same. I know exactly what you're talking about. Every state you go in Brazil, you feel in a different country. That's
really amazing. I would never know that, you know. How is Brazil?
I mean, like the US, every place where you go, you feel, for example, where I come from, I'm in the very middle of Brazil, Northwest, and not by the seaside. And it's really warm, it's really hot, like through the year. We don't have winter. Our winter, it's kind of hitting London, like let's say mild day in London is our winter back where I come from.
Okay.
So yeah, but some place in the south of Brazil can get cold as well. In the very north, you've never seen cold. So it's a big country, and each state you go, you literally feel you are in a different country, different accents, different food as well.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think you know very well, and I exactly understand your point because it's so interesting, isn't it? When you go to different states, literally you feel a different like country, a different place.
It's amazing.
Next question is, who would you swap lives with for a day if you could?
Ooh. I'm going to say this one because it keeps popping up in my head. Okay. Do you know who David Goggins is?
No.
David Goggins is a former Navy SEAL. He's done, like, he says he's the toughest man in the world. Okay. But he doesn't need to do this, but like right now he's part of the forestry industry. So he's going up into the forest and digging trenches, cutting down trees for big forest fires, because it's hard. So he just is always about like doing something hard. So I feel like be in his shoes for a day and see really how intense he is, or how passionate he is.
Amazing. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Since you're a good dancer as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I can't hear the music, but I want to dance with you, you know?
Right. I'm going to ask a tough question for you now. In the beginning of the interview, when you mentioned about that event in your life as a child, my question for you is, do you think that event meant to happen to you, knowing the person you are right now? And the second part of the question is, have you forgiven this person?
Those are great questions. So I believe life happens for us, not to us. And I didn't believe that for a long time. I'm going to tell you, like, I had a big life switch in like my mid-20s. I was dating somebody and she was into like personal development, psychology and stuff, and going to school. And I'm like, you're full of crap. Like you die the same person you were born. I obviously don't believe that now. So I believe it definitely happened for me, not to me. And it's changed my life. Like there's no way it hasn't. There's no way it hasn't shaped my life. And I like, if you want to get into details, like from things I like sexually to, and that may sound weird, but from things I like sexually to the way I handle emotions and stuff, I know it's changed my life for sure. But I believe it certainly happened for me. And I believe it is a gift that I can take on. And it's a burden, if you want to look at it that way, that I can take on to get to share with other people for their help or for their healing. And like, there's very few men that will talk about that experience.
So true.
And that's one thing that I really love. I love when I sit in a group of people I'm coaching and I can bring that up and you can just see other men, even if they don't say anything, you can just see their body language change. Like, oh, me too. Me too. Wow. Forgiveness. It's a big question. And, you know, I'll say like going back to how it even impacts me, like now I have a daughter. So I'm hyper aware that I was, you know, molested and that could happen to her. And so that even raises emotions and you feel like you've healed from it. And then I even had experience recently with my wife. Somebody was babysitting my daughter, incredible person. Have no doubt they were never going to do that. but it still rose up in me.
Sure.
And I was like, man, I cried, I hugged my wife, and I said, like, I have more work to do. Because like, if that's still impacting me that way, there's still more work, right? Like I believe we're all layers of an onion, and I peeled back some layers around it, but there's still more layers to work on. Have I forgiven him? I believe I have. And I hope that he, found his own healing, but I've completely forgiven him. Like, I don't know what's going on. One thing that happened from this is it gave me huge compassion for others. I don't know what's going on in his life. I have no idea what happened to him as a child or as an adult, right? Like, it's even when you like, most of us judge our parents pretty harshly, and then we grow up a little bit and we go like, man, we learn about how their parents treated them, and then we go like, man, you know what, I didn't know, and I didn't know, and I don't know for him. I hope that he's found his own peace if it ever bothered him, and that he finds his own like way to heal and build a healthy family. And I want to do the same. So I want to be forgiven for things I've done, and I definitely forgive him, and it helps me to forgive him.
Amazing. All right, next question for you is, what would be your idea? No, sorry, let's try that again. I was so involved in your talk that I got a little bit confused. What would your ideal life look like?
Ooh. So I think I'm all about having freedom of time. I think that's the most important. I think that's one thing that people miss out on in life. So my ideal life would be the ability to coach people, run events, to grow a bigger coaching business with more coaches to impact people, to travel around and do events, because my wife's an event planner. So have more of those, have more type of fun activities. But I really think, everybody wants to travel. I believe everybody wants to travel. But I'll say I want to travel. So, traveling more, having time organized where it's in the mornings, I can spend time with my family, and then time in the evening with my family. I think those are so important, as quality time with people. So I think having a more open schedule, where it's, business is more established, there's more systems, there's more team, so I can have more time with family, we can travel, and yet we can still impact people's life each day.
Amazing. Ready for the last question?
Yes.
Last question, let's do it. Okay, before the last question, please tell me, during your journey, your professional journey so far, tell me a situation, a moment with a client, or a feedback or something that happened, or through your career, that you go like, you know what, this experience always gonna have a special place in my heart. Any situation that you had with your business so far?
Okay. So I've been lucky enough to work with some amazing people. And I worked with a COO in Orem for a while. And he was just this incredible guy. He had this incredible presence about him. Nothing that was, wrong with his life. He was just looking to level up. And he always shared this story with me. And he said, and I'm going to share this story with you if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
He said, Chris, I don't dream very often, right? And we're sitting in his nice big office. So he's sitting in one chair, I'm sitting across from him in another chair. And I lean forward. I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me about this dream. And he says, I don't dream very often. I don't remember my dreams. But he said, I have this one repeating dream. And I'm just getting goosebumps saying this. And he said, I dream that like I walk over to this edge, and I'm standing high above it, and there's ocean. And there's these big like freight train or like big like, why am I blanking? Big boats that pull up, right? And they're pulling up to this harbor. And this one particular boat I see every time. And these people start to walk off the boat and walk down, and they walk on this harbor, and they walk in front, like they line up. And it's so far I can't see all their faces. Can't make out their faces, but they line up shoulder to shoulder, one after one. And then there's this little old lady that walks down the steps and walks in front of them. And she hands one thing to one person, one thing to another. And I can't see what she's handing him. But as the dream continues, I realize, man, this one person got cancer. This one person got death, like their family died. This one person got drug abuse. This one person, right? And each person got something given to them before they came here that they were going to have to deal with, that they were going to have to overcome, that they got to choose if it happened to them or for them. And that day, like, I thought, like, wow, that's amazing, because I think we all come here, like, part of life is to progress and overcome adversity, right? To grow and learn. And we don't get these things that feel negative or hard, and they are hard, and they can feel negative when we're going through them. But yet when we have them happen and we go through them, we grow through them. And I think there's something beautiful about that dream that he told me about. Now, if that wasn't what you're looking for, I'm more than happy to give you a different answer. But that's one of those experiences where I go like, man, that changed me.
Absolutely. I think was the first thing that came to your mind. You know, that's one of the experiences for your career. So why not?
I love it.
Amazing. Last question for you is, what gives you butterflies?
Oh, man. I think the biggest things are seeing people grow. I think that gives me butterflies. I think that gives me like those goosebumps in situation. And then I think choosing hard things in life. It's like, for me, for so long, like, my loving mother would do things for me that I could do, right? Like, would have those hard discussions that I needed to learn to have. And so when I choose to have those hard conversations with somebody that really help them grow, I love giving that experience back. So I think choosing hard things, physical or not, like, give me goosebumps, give me those butterflies. And there's something that most people shy away from, but there's something that's so beautiful about them in life.
Beautiful answer. Right, so let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Keep thinking. So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Let's start with money.
Money, abundant.
Family.
Joyful.
Life.
Opportunity to grow.
Love.
Meaningful.
Sex.
Fun.
Politics.
Chaotic.
That's why you're running America 2027?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Are you? Oh, no.
No, man. Please, no.
Why not? You never know. My goodness,
Yeah,
you never know. Fear.
False.
Religion.
Clarity.
Friendship.
Teammates.
Desire.
Important.
Regrets.
Non-existent.
Success.
Meaningful.
One word for wish.
One word for wish.
Yeah?
Oh, goodness. Fun.
One word for happiness.
Connection.
One word for Phoenix.
Hot.
One word for Utah.
Beautiful.
USA.
A melting pot.
And the last one now. Human designer and Go specialist. One word.
Will you say that again?
One word for human design and Go specialist.
Transformational.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your wife for a coffee, and I'm going to ask her, what is the most beautiful thing about Chris, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What should say?
Oh, goodness. Okay. I think she would say that I truly want to do my best. Like I want to be the best husband, the best father, run the best business. And I am a person that is always looking to grow. Like there is no finish line for me. So I think she would say that I give my best. What could I work on? Oh goodness, that's a longer list. Let's see. I think she would say that I could work on being calmer, communicating better when I'm having feelings. And I think she would say that it's okay to not solve the issue.
As I can see, Chris, you are, a person who is always on the go. I can see that you have this a way of, using the most of your time. Do you give yourself a day or some time to relax, or you cannot disconnect from your business at all? You do know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Always there. Or sometimes you find a way to disconnect from your professional life.
That's a great question. And I think that's one of those challenges, right? And I would say I'm good at disconnecting. Sometimes I put myself down though for disconnecting, if that makes sense, right? I'm harder on myself, like, oh man, I should this, right? So I think I'm pretty good at disconnecting. The challenge though is how hard am I on myself for disconnecting?
See, wow. Let's play now, Chris, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question.
Cool. That's what I thought. Okay, man, this is so hard. I'm gonna be honest. Like there were so many questions running through my mind. I asked my wife, like, "Hey, what's a good question?" I think I'm gonna go with this one though.
Okay.
I wish I had more time because I'd ask you a ton. If you knew when you were gonna die, what would you be doing differently right now in your life?
Wow. Oh my God. Good question. And if I'm not wrong, I think nobody ever asked me this question yet. I'm going to reach 1,000 interviews like in, less than 2 months. And I think nobody asked me this question yet. Oh, wow. You put me in the spot now. Okay. The first thing that came to my mind right now is if I knew that, the time when I'm going to go, let's say, to another world or to another planet, I think I would make sure that I would spend more life with my mom, with my family back in Brazil. It's funny because that's why I asked this question to you before about if you are always on the go, if you have some time to relax. And I feel myself the same way as well. One thing that I've learned very early age is I came to this world to work, to do things, to go after my dreams, and I love that. So I don't remember like a day when I said, okay, I'm going to wake up now, I'm going to just relax. Not because I could, but just because it's my nature of always try to learn something, to go after things, to go after my dreams. I love learning. I love going, when I learn something new, I just feel like the luckiest person because I've learned something different. So yeah, but sometimes I forget those, roots, let's say. Not that I forget, but I kind of sometimes I don't give much, maybe not too much attention that I should. Maybe I talk to my mom, quite often with my family as well. But you just talk, you just ask if they're okay, but you're not there 100%. Do you know what I mean? So I think I would make sure that I would put myself. If I knew the date, of course, I would prioritize, some time of my time to be there, with my loved ones, with my family, because I think, we forget that the world we live right now, everything is so fast, and I enjoy that. I think it's good for us. As I said, we learn, we go after things, and it's great. It's not wrong about that. But I personally, for me, I would try to find a way to be more close to my mom, to my family, because, and we sometimes when we enjoy a lot what we do, we enjoy our lives, we leave on the side a few things. You cannot have everything anyway. You can, you need to leave some things on the side. It's not a bad thing, but you just need to prioritize other things as well. I'm not saying that I don't prioritize my family. I do a lot, but not, they're back in Brazil. And for me, to go there, it's not that's like a plan that I can do like, in a week or something. I need to plan with time. And it's a lot of money as well. So yes, back to your question, I would make sure that I would spend more time with my loved ones, like closer.
It's a great answer. I love
For
that.
sure. Yeah, wow, what a question. You made me think properly right now, Chris.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Did you have a good time?
I loved it, man. I appreciate it. I was grateful to come on, like just from listening to some of your episodes, and you did not disappoint. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being so kind and so sweet as well. You made my day when you sent me a message the other day saying that you were talking to your wife about the show. You know, I think you made a comment. I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet that we didn't do the interview yet. And he was talking to your wife already about the show. So you just made my day that day. I was like, oh, that's sweet. Thanks so
I
much.
appreciate it. We were excited.
Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Yeah, for sure. So like my wife makes fun of me because I have like, I say like, oh, my favorite quote. She's like, you have like 1,000 favorite quotes. And you're like, come up with a quote. I'm like, oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a different one than I normally give. And I'm gonna read it just so I make sure I hit it. But it says, live the life of your dreams. Be brave enough to live the life of your dreams according to your vision and purpose instead of the expectations and opinions of others. And that's Roy T. Bennett.
Wow.
And I just think that's so profound. Like we live, and I did this for years. If it's okay, I just want to say this real quick.
Please. Yeah.
I lived life for so long, and this made me feel lost for so long. Like for what my mom wanted, what my dad wanted, right? Like what all these people told me I should be or should do, or in what society says like is success. And I always felt like this hole inside, like this disconnect. And once I realized, and I went through my own journey of healing, I realized, man, they lived their life. They had their opportunity. I still love them, and I hope they still love me, but I have to be me fully, because that's the only way that I'm going to really have success. The only way I'm going to truly live the life I want and live with no regrets is by stepping in and not living with other people's expectations and opinions and being okay with me being me.
Absolutely. I think that's the best, very basic of us. Be ourselves, be yourself, be your true self. I think it's the first thing that you should focus, because other people, they're already taken the way they are. You know what I mean? You are unique. You are the only one who can be your true self. So you just be yourself. I think it says a lot. Before you go, if people watch the interview right now, maybe they would like to work with you or to get to know more about your job and maybe to do some collaboration, work with you. What's the best way to get to you?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple options. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Chris Avery Coaching. You can email me, chris@chrisavery.com. I got clever and came up with an email that has my name in it.
Thank you so much, regards to your wife, and you keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure. Okay, Chris? Thank you very much.
Thank you, William. Bye-bye.
Take care, okay? Bye-bye. Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show, and I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.